I chose to go around schools telling my story because when I was doing drugs, I was still stuck in that mindset where I thought it was fun and cool. I didn't realise the horror of what it led to until in the jail, when I saw all the men at the end of that road of drug use, shooting up heroin, shooting up crystal meth, hepatitis C, deadly diseases killing them, yellow jaundiced skin, teeth rotting out. And I thought to myself, I put people on that road, and I was ashamed of it, but because I couldn't change my past, I just pledged to go out and share my story so other people wouldn't make my mistake. Lady at the very back, yeah? People say to me, Shaun, when you're telling us your story, aren't you reliving it? Isn't it difficult? And what I've learned is, when something bad happens in your life that's traumatic, if you hold it in, often it can lead to mental instability down the road. But sometimes it's so traumatic, you feel like you can't talk about it for a long time. And I actually feel that when something bad does happen to you, when you feel it's the right time to talk to someone about it, it helps you by sharing that with other people. So I feel it's helping me by sharing my story in the schools. In the red at the back. I was finding it hard to give up the drugs. I'd met a lady who taught me how to dealing, but I found it hard, and I kept going out on the weekends getting high. But once that SWAT team came and smashed my door down, and I was in that jail and it was just mayhem, that was the wake-up call, the slap around the face I needed to make me wise up and get off the drugs. Yes?
In prison, how did you entertain yourself?
How did you entertain yourself in prison? Me or everybody?
No, you.
Just me. What I did was, I set a goal to read as many books as possible, and in just under 6 years, I read over 1,000 books. Before I got arrested, I thought I knew everything, and I thought reading was a waste of time. And once I started to read, I realised immediately I knew nothing and how much there is to learn from books. I went on this fantastic journey through literature. I read a lot of the original texts in philosophy and psychology, and they helped me go inside myself and look to why I was doing all that mad behaviour, and helped me also stop doing it in the future. Lady here, yes?
What was the worst thing that happened to you?
Worst thing that happened to me in jail? Psychologically, the worst thing that happened to me was living with the serial home invader torturer. It was hard to try and get to sleep with him. I was even having a blanket over me, and it was really hot because I thought he might just try and smash my head in with the padlock at any time. And then the cockroaches as well, that was the other hardest part, as well as the violence. Yes, over there? Yeah.
Do you still speak to T-Bone?
Yeah, I still speak to T-Bone. And sadly, well, he did get released about 4 or 5 years ago. He was out briefly, and I knew I was in a race against time to help him, because they don't give these guys with addiction issues anything to deal with that in the jail. They allow it to be drug and gang infested, so they'll just get out, commit more crimes and come right back. That's what keeps them in business. And because of the racism and all this other stuff, the police did arrest T-Bone, and they tried to give him a 200-year sentence for a robbery that he hadn't done. They just wanted him off the streets, basically. So it went to court, and T-Bone fought it, and they said to the policeman on the stand, "Where's the video of him doing the robbery?" There was a camera, and the policeman said, "Oh, we didn't have time to get the video." And then they said to the policeman, "Well, your witness, you know that she's a liar, she lies on the stand." And they said, "Yeah, we know she lies on the stand." So he got found not guilty of the 200-year stuff, but they got him on one little charge, and because of his previous convictions, they gave him 13 years. And he's got about 6 years of that left. So if you want to read these latest letters to me, they're on my blog, and they're also on his Facebook wall. Yes?
Did you ever get smashed?
I got smashed half a dozen times or less. And I never got any teeth knocked out, never got any bones broken. And that was because some of my bouncers were in there protecting me from the rave scene who got arrested with me. And later on, the old man on the cover of the book you just got, he's called Two Tonys. He was a mafia guy doing 141 years. He'd left the dead bodies of rival gangsters from Arizona to Alaska. And he dictated his life story to me, he started to protect me. If you've only murdered gangsters, you're top of the respect in the prison. If you murdered a woman or a child, it's kill on sight. The prisoners try and kill them when they come in. So once Two Tonys took me under his wing, protected me, I never got smashed again after that. And the shirt at the back, yes?
Did you ever get shanked?
No, I never got shanked. And I never carried a shank. But I did know where the shanks were buried in case I needed to resort to that if my life was getting threatened or if I was going to get someone's threatening to rape me or something like that. Lady here? The police found out about my parties and ecstasy dealing because 10 witnesses gave my name in over a period of time. And then the police tried to infiltrate us with undercover police, and we saw them coming a mile off. So in the end, they went to a judge, and the judge allowed them to start listening to all our phone calls, and that was how they caught us in the end. Lady in the back with the glasses.
Did you expect to be arrested on that day?
I did not expect to be arrested that day, no. I was on the computer, trading the stock market, and all of a sudden there's this bang, 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 bang on the door. And I'm thinking, I don't know whether it's the police or whether it's someone trying to rob me. I look through the peephole, blacked out, and I think, all right, I best go and tell my girlfriend. So I run back to the bedroom to get my girlfriend. We're like, what should we do? Because outside we could see them, police cars, marksmen, rifles, SWAT team. We better let them in. And then we get halfway through the living room, and then boom, that door just flew off the hinges. That was it. Lady here?
How long were you in jail for?
I was incarcerated for exactly 5 3/4 years. The jail part of it was 26 months on remand, and the prison then was just under 4 years, the balance of it. Yep, you with the hand right up, yep. Yes?
What was the worst thing that you saw?
Worst thing I saw, well, the violence was, getting used to the sounds of heads getting bashed against toilets, bodies getting thrown around, people getting carried on stretchers look like they're dead. That was probably the worst stuff that I saw. On the end over there, yeah?
Drugs had any long-term effects?
Long-term effects of taking drugs on me. I did speak to a heart specialist, and they said because I did crystal meth, I probably got an enlarging heart, which could cause me some problems down the road. In the blue? Yeah. I do not have any tattoos. No, they call me a blankie. To earn your tattoos, you've got to beat people up or murder people. And look at the size of me. Who am I going to beat up? I was hiding in myself, just doing the reading and the writing. Lady on the end, yep. My parents found out that I was in jail pretty quickly, within days. We had to tell them. I didn't want them to find out. I was hoping that if I ever got arrested, I could call my friends and they would bail me out. But the police outsmarted me by arresting all of my friends with me. Yeah?
Did you ever offend like someone?
Did I offend someone really bad? One time I was assigned to kitchen duty and I sat on a crate. This is how easy it is to offend someone in prison. I sat on a crate and a prisoner who murdered 2 other prisoners in that prison system said, hey, that's my seat, get off it. Now, if I get off it, I'm punk and a weakling in front of everybody, and I'm going to have problems with everybody. If I stay on it, I'm going to not have problems with everybody, but have problems with him, and he's murdered 2 people. So what do? I stay on it, because I don't have problems with everybody. So then, he's threatening to kill me, and I got a personal fitness trainer called Iron Man in there, and he's showing me what to do if he gets me, because he'd been shot in the leg and had a rod in his leg. He's telling me I've got to kick him in the leg and do all this stuff, and in the end, I found out he was getting released and he didn't want to kill anyone else because he'd already done 30 plus years. So we actually came to my cell and we shook hands and we squashed the beef, and there wasn't a problem after that. Lady there? What was it like living with other prisoners? Well, I've touched on some pretty extreme stories today, but like I mentioned earlier, most prisoners are non-violent drug offenders. And the media leads people to believe prisoners are serial killers, rapists, paedophiles. There is a small percent of that, and they're the people who really deserve to be in there. I deserve to be in there because I was a dealer, but a lot of the people just get caught with small amounts of drugs. I think those people need to be referred to mental health. And those people were mostly, some of them were trying to use the time wisely, some were getting degrees, reading a lot of books, and we call them the prison intelligentsia, that percentage that we're getting all the studies done and stuff like that. So I talk and hung out with them. Yeah? Yes?
Do you have any flashbacks?
Yeah, I do have flashbacks. Like, I'll be walking down the street and I'll see someone that looks like the serial home invader torturer, and within that same second, I'll know it's not him, but my adrenaline's already kicked off, and you get that feeling on the back of your neck, the goose flesh, and Nightmares as well. I used to have a lot of nightmares, but I do a lot of yoga and meditation. And the nightmares have really gone down now. We used to be all in the prison. Now it'd be like stuff like the prison world and the real world, like the serial home invader torture will be in a school coming to get me, stuff like that. But it's slowly going down over the years. Yeah, go on.
Were you ever asked to kill someone on sight?
I was never asked to kill someone on sight, no. Go on.
What was the worst story that you ever heard?
The worst story that I ever heard?
Yeah.
The worst stories I heard in prison are too graphic for me to get into at this particular moment in time. Go on.
What was the worst thing you've ever done in prison?
I didn't do bad things in prison. I was hiding out of my cell, reading and writing, and trying to stay away from getting in any kind of trouble. Yes?
What was it like when you were being followed by that car?
When I was being followed by the undercover police, I did not know it was undercover police. I had a twin-turbo Mazda RX-7, and I would speed off from them and do all these manoeuvres and stuff like that. And yeah, it was making me more and more paranoid to think whether are these guys going to rob me, are they going to arrest me, who are these guys? It just really messed with my head. Yes?
What was going through your head when you were selling the drugs?
What was going through my head when I was selling the drugs was, I'm living like a character out of Scarface, Blow, Pulp Fiction, I'm the man, I'm Mr. Cool Guy, I'm never going to get caught, you know. And that's because the drugs was telling me this. But what I didn't know was the drugs had scrambled my decision-making processes. And once I got sobered up from the drugs in the jail, this cloud lifted out of my head that I didn't know was there. And I looked back at all the danger I put myself in. I was just wondering how on earth I was still alive. In the reddish burgundy, yeah. Did the experience bring the family closer together? I would say it did, and my mum also said that it did. Because I was over there, I was on the drugs, being irresponsible, I wasn't putting my family first, but since then, yeah, it's really brought me a lot closer to my family. Yep. How's my mum now? My mum now, she does yoga and meditation as well. And I go up there and we spend as much time as possible. Sadly, another shockwave did go through my family. My sister had a baby, and the baby was diagnosed with cancer at 1 year old, leukemia. Yeah, so for 2 years, my sister had to give her job up, and basically she was living in and out of hospitals. Great Ormond Street fortunately saved the baby's life, and the baby now has come out of chemotherapy, and she's doing good. We all went and climbed Ben Nevis to raise money and stuff like that. In the corner. You know what, I don't know how many murders I witnessed. I saw people getting smashed who looked like they were left for dead, and they get took out on a stretcher, and you just never see them again. You don't know what's happened unless it ends up in the news or the court system, and you find out through that means. At the very back, yeah? I never got bitten by the spiders, but I did assist in the aftercare, and what I mean by that is, the guards who've been bitten, the prisoners who've been bitten, we take to the guards and we say, look, he's got to go to medical. And the guards would say, it's the policy of the jail not to treat insect bites. You put yourself in here by breaking the law, you deal with it. So one I assisted him with was a guy, he was about 20 stone, he'd been bitten on his back. And it looked like a baseball of yellow plasma was coming out of his back. We designated a prisoner as a doctor, he was a Russian guy, he'd been in the military, said he knew how to dress wounds. The guy who's been bitten, big guys arm locked him on either side in the day room. Russian comes up behind him, starts massaging the wound. All this pus is running down his back, and I'm helping mop it up with toilet paper. Big guy's almost fainting, sweat dripping on his ears, his chin. He starts dragging everyone across the day room, like, we need more guys to hold him. When all of the pus was finally out, what we did was, what the Russian said the best thing we could do for him was, put salt on the wound to reduce the bacteria. Yeah. Okay, over there, yeah.
I know you obviously you didn't like prison, but you kind of feel happy that you went and you made changes and it's now.
Absolutely. I credit prison with saving my life by taking me off the drugs, forcing me to grow up because I was emotionally immature, setting me on this fantastic journey through literature, and setting my life in a whole new positive direction. I am the poster child for incarceration. However, what I saw was people just coming in, young people, graduating to harder drugs, 90% shooting up, becoming bigger criminals, then just coming right back to prison. So I don't think that it works for the majority. Arizona's got the highest crime and reoffending in the country, according to FBI statistics. And I had a lot of family support, I had an education, and I was a self-starter. I did all that reading, all that education on my own as well. Yes?
You said that at Christmas, when you went to visit your parents, that when you came back, like that guy was like on marijuana. Like, how did you get marijuana?
No, most people get arrested for marijuana, but most of the drugs in the prison were the hardest drugs, heroin and crystal meth. And how they get them in, people wrap them in plastic, bring them to visitation, where you sat at a table in medium or minimum security. Visitor might have a baby, drugs in the baby's nappy, prisoners distract the guards. While they're distracted, drugs are extracted, passed under the table, and prisoners shove them in his behind. Most of the prisoners store contraband in their behinds. That's to get through all these strip searches. That's how they bring them in. Also, staff members bring them in, guards, and a nurse was actually arrested bringing the drugs in for the Mexican mafia while I was there. Yep.
Was your girlfriend into drugs?
The girl I'd met was not in the rave scene, the last lady that I was with, and she's the one who actually talked me out of the dealing as well. But all the ladies I was with before that were into drugs, and I was attracting women who were as crazy as me, and we were just going off the rails together. Yep.
How did people get tattoos in prison?
The serial home invader torturer, have we got any books left? Okay. Serial home invader torturer, he set our cell into a tattoo shop, an illegal tattoo shop. He took the motor out of a Walkman, a little stereo, and he got the motor and he attached it to the end of a pen casing with a guitar string running through it, and then he had a needle on the end. So as the motor vibrated on the end of the pen casing, the needle vibrated at the other end of the pen casing. That was his tattoo gun. For ink, there was a hair gel product you could buy, and he built a box and he burnt it for hours on end, and it collected into soot, and that was his ink. He had tremendous art skills. You can't tell by looking at those crude tattoos on his body, but the jail doesn't give anything positive for the guys that channel their energy into like that. Lady over there at the back, yeah.
What was the first drug?
First drug I took was ecstasy and then speed. Yes. Lady here. The worst prison I stayed at throughout my entire incarceration, the worst was the remand jail. In the remand jail, where I was for 26 months, that's where there was the dead rats in the food, the cockroaches crawling us all over at night, and where the guards as well as the gang members were murdering the prisoners, where 62 people died around the time I was there. On the end there, yeah? Yeah, most prisoners think about escape, fantasize about it. The razor wire, it shreds your black and white stripes off you, and there's a chemical on the blade so that it stops your blood from clotting, so you leave a trail of blood in the direction that you're actually escaping in. And the last person to escape from the jail got rearrested running down the street naked in his pink socks. Yes?
What was the thing from your normal life that you missed most?
The thing I missed from my normal life the most while I was in prison was my girlfriend. Was pining for my girlfriend in the beginning. At the back?
How long have you been out for?
How what?
How long have you been out of prison for?
I got released in December of 2007. Okay, at the very back? Have I done yoga with my mum? Yeah, and when I go up north, my mum, we go to the same instructor at the fitness centre. I have done some yoga classes where my mum's been at, yes.
Did you have a best friend in prison?
Did I have a best friend in prison? I had a group of friends whose stories I was writing about, and they're all the people I ended up putting on my blog, those prisoners, yeah.
How old were you when you first started doing drugs?
I was a teenager at university when I first started doing drugs. Yeah. Yeah. Go on, you. Yeah.
What did your mum say when you rang her up to say you were in jail?
When I rang my mum to say that I was in jail, I felt sick. And when I heard the pain in her voice, that just made me start to cry on the phone. And you can't cry in prison, you gotta like hide it, like you're sweating, something like that. And it was just horrible to hear that after, my mum had loved me and brought me up to be responsible and encouraged me to go to university and all this stuff. It was just, I was on the lowest days of my life when I had to tell my parents that I was in jail. Yes? Is there anything from prison that I actually miss? I miss some of the friends I made in there, and I miss the humour of some of the friends that I made in there. That's about it though, really. Yeah.
How long have you been clean for?
I've been clean since the SWAT team smashed my door down May 16, 2002. How many books left? Okay, there's no books left. That was a good time, good time. Thank you guys, thank you.